To do this research, myself, my colleagues, and some students, graduating students, undertaken this in the Yirgalem Hospital laboratory. The anticoagulant used, the blood storage, and of course there are lots of matters that needs to be considered. So overall, the data obtained from this study indicated a strong positive correlation between the two methods. And for example, other studies have also found 0.98 correlation, 0.96 correlation, and another study R is equal to 0.948. So it looks similar with other findings. It looks similar. In addition, another study reported the results obtained with hematology binary for PCV were correlated with manual method. R is equal to 0.86.
Thank you, Ms. Lana. I think you have given a good knowledge on the old method, one of the most oldest method of determining the RBC characteristic or the RBC parameter is hematocrit. Please, Ms. Gano, come here.
At your level. That is very much important. Having said that, have you considered like the different values of hematocrit? Usually we have low hematocrit, that is in anemic areas, and then we have normal values. Then sometimes we have also higher hematocrit values, so that the result could be more impressive. Again, have you controlled the researcher bias or the personnel, those who performed the manual hematocrit and that of the automated one, so that again this could be.
My first question is, it's always that when you do hematocrit manually, there is an inherent error that is trapped plasma, and the value of manual method is usually more or greater than the value from automated method due to the inherent plasma. So how did you consider this? The second one is, what's your cutoff value for coefficient of variation? No, whether it's precise or imprecise.
As far as my knowledge, is there any hematology analyzer who do hematocrit? As far as my knowledge, most hematology analyzer, they calculate hematocrit. They don't do directly HCT. They usually count RBCs and MCV since they're flow cytometry, then they will give us HCT, the hematocrit result. Whereas you did the manual hematocrit, which is that directly you take the hematocrit.
Having said this, as far as I know, in a continuous type of data, before selecting the appropriate statistical tools, you have to see the data distribution. So what seemed your data distribution, whether it is a normally distributed or non-normally distributed data, because observing the distributions of the data is important to select the appropriate statistical tools.
The first point is raised has been on the statistical analysis from my colleagues. True, in continuous variables, what you have suggested can be considered, but I accept that. But other researchers also did it the same way. And I also have, myself and other researchers also have a correlation table. Anyway, I will accept that one as a comment. And secondly, the pooled sample, you said, individual samples, individual patients come to the laboratory for direct examination. I did not understand what you mean by pooled, but individual patients who has been sent from the outpatient department of the hospital come to the laboratory, and each of them has we collected blood and undertaken hematocrit value. And of course, there are some variables that affect the test, especially casus commentus, the hematocrit value in the anemic patients and in healthy individuals. The difference between the hematocrit values between in anemic patients is, for example, they can be diluted with the anticoagulants, and there are more relations might be different. We did not control that. not control that. And we did not control, there are lots of other factors that we did not control in the results that may of course affect the test results. I also take that. And the other comment regarding the calculated, derived, and direct measurements from MINDRE machines, all the CBC reports, some of them are directly measured, for example, racial count. Some of them are calculated, for example, as my colleague said, the hematocrit value, which can be calculated from the racial indices, which is also important to calculate the racial indices again. And whatever the methodology of the machine, either it used direct measurement or calculated or derived from some graphs, histograms, that will be considered as the results obtained from the machine. So that result can be directly compared with the manual method. That is the way the machine does, and that is how we obtain the results. So that is how we compare. So thank you very much for all your comments. I appreciate your real attention.
I think the most important factor here is RBC flexibility. So the most important factor, the morphology of the RBC has to be checked whenever it is increased. If there is abnormal RBC, they will not be packed easily, so the plasma trapping will increase. One question I have here from your, what you said that for patient care, hematocrit is more important than hemoglobin.
Yes, hematocrit values that I forgot that point can be increased by trapped plasma, and more centrifugation is important, of course. But hemoglobin, the usual technique that we do hemoglobin in our country is Sally-Hellings method, which is very backward and very subjective to personal biases. So the hematocrit value due to that, and we know that red cell count is usually biased with dilution factors. When we make a one count of red cell count, a one mistake, a one error, we are doing a 10,000 almost, some 10,000 dilution correction factor error. So for this reason, hematocrit is considered more reliable than the rest. And if you go to most of the health centers, even they don't have microhematocrit centrifuge, and they do hemoglobin and they calculate the values by 3 or something and report they give you hematocrit results. So and again, I remembered my friend's question also, platelet count. That I'm saying that I've been saying that red cell count manual methods, platelet count are not encouraged to be done by manual methods. But if we are doing them, for example, we do the white cell count, and more cell counters need to be compared with the real machine results, so that we need to know what